This week in games, let's talk the Halo TV show getting canceled, everything announced at EVO 2024, and the FTC and Microsoft are fighting again. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 209. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Dark greetings. It's a dark day of the year. Very dark. You pay attention to astrology?
What?
You pay attention to astrology.
No.
Very dark.
Is it?
I have no clue.
Okay, great. Well, you know what is dark? Anything running Microsoft Windows. Am I right, Connor? Everything got blacked out. A lot of people lost travel plans.
That did happen.
A lot of money lost. Some jobs are going to get lost for sure. It's very bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad, you know?
Didn't affect me, though, so it didn't happen.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. You know? It's just funny. Let me get these jokes off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Connor, how was your week been?
Let's see. My week was good. Celebrated a birthday. Enjoyed, watching some movies this week.
Very nice.
2 movies in theaters. Long Legs and Maxine. The better one was Long Legs.
I've not heard of Maxine before.
It's interesting because the director, Ty West, made a movie called X, and then I released in 2020 or something like that, 2021, during the pandemic, and he had wrote multiple films, and so he made his next one, Pearl, which is a prequel, a year later, and then
cranking them out.
Yeah, and then this next year made Maxine, which is a sequel to the first movie. And they were all quality. I didn't watch Pearl all the way through. It increased with quality, I think, as the shows went on, movies went on. Well, maybe Pearl is held in higher regard than Maxine, but they're all good.
Doesn't sound like you know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's just they're good movies,
Oh, okay.
Quality movies.
I like good movies.
Yeah.
Where's my invite?
Nowhere.
Oh, okay, great.
You were working in there.
I do. I've been working a lot. But it's good stuff, making good money. So we're on our way up here, Connor. Mm-hmm. I do want to thank you, sir. You bought us some new lighting equipment. So if we look a little better than we normally look, that's why. And I think we do quite a bit. There's a lot more detail going on. You can see a lot more. And very happy with this in our current setup. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Good support. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can find the show every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Or you can watch us stream every podcast we record live over at twitch.tv/2pennygames Monday afternoons. It's a good time. Come over, drop a follow, drop a like, drop a subscribe on all of our channels, and make sure you check the description out for our social media accounts. Follow us on there, and follow us on TikTok. We're putting out TikToks every week. We're putting out a couple every week. Where's yours?
I was waiting for you to say that.
Exactly.
I forgot. It slipped my mind.
I'm poking fun at you. I'm poking fun. But we had some great TikTok interactions, great TikTok traction over the last week. So please go follow us over there. It's a good time. Connor.
Talking news?
I think it's time to talk some news, my friend. Let's go ahead and
get
right into our first topic of the day. My first penny of the day. Microsoft hits back at the FTC's misleading letter that called Xbox Game Pass standard a degraded service as a result of the Activision Blizzard buyout. So this is a bit of a continuation of a story that we covered last week, right?
We did not cover it last week.
Well, the off of the Game Pass.
Oh, the Game Price increase, yes.
Yeah. So Game Pass price increased. We covered that last week. Go check out that episode if you want to get the full update on that. Time codes are in the description, by the way, if you want to jump to a specific topic. And so FTC then came out, basically said, hey, we told you so. We told you Xbox is going to get real greedy and do some greedy stuff after buying Activision Blizzard King, which is kind of what they did with a lot of elements of this. Xbox continuing to not look the best, but we weren't super mad about the price increase on Xbox Game Pass. We felt it was semi-reasonable, We didn't like it, but it was reasonable, is how we felt. Anyways, so jumping over to Games Radar by Con Saren. The Federal Trade Commission wasn't all too happy about Microsoft's recent change to Xbox Game Pass, arguing that it was a, quote, degraded, end quote, service as a result of the company's massive Activision Blizzard acquisition, just as it had argued in court. Microsoft hasn't taken the criticism lightly and has now hit back, calling the allegations misleading. Earlier this month, Microsoft announced that it was going to raise Xbox game prices on Microsoft announced that it was going to raise prices on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate while essentially replacing the base console tier with a new Xbox Game Pass standard version. Excuse me, that Monster Energy. Game Pass standard version that withholds day one releases but includes multiplayer for console owners. Meaning, you'll now need to upgrade to the more expensive Ultimate tier to get games like Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and Avowed on launch day. Slightly confusing, right? It should be noted that PC Game Pass has remained unfazed by the recent tweaks. Quote, product degradation, removing the most valuable games from Microsoft's new service, combined with price increases for existing users, is exactly the sort of consumer harm from the merger the FTC has alleged, the commission argued in a filing to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. Quote, Microsoft's price increases and product degradation, combined with Microsoft's reduced investments in output and product quality via employee layoffs, are the hallmarks of a firm exercising market power post-merger, it adds, referring to the recent shutdown of the studios behind Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall. In a recent counter letter sent to the court via The Verge's Tom Warren, Microsoft states that the FTC, quote, presents a misleading extra record according of the facts. Extra record? Never heard that before. Anyways, presents a misleading extra record account of the facts and is a continuation of the agency's attempts to reinvent its case on appeal. The company tried to defend its new standard tier by promoting or by pointing to how it includes, quote, multiplayer functionality. Now, something that the defunct console tier didn't. It also argues that Ultimate's price hike is justified because the service will apparently, quote, offer more value with day one games as it always has, while making a big show of how Call of Duty has never dropped onto a subscription service, quote, day and date. Quote, the FTC barely mentioned subscription at trial, instead focusing on the theory that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from Sony's consoles. The letter continues, quote, the district court correctly rejected the theory, which is now further eroded by Microsoft and Sony's 10-year agreement to keep Call of Duty on Game Pass. So, FTC said, hey, this is some bullshit. Y'all on some greedy bullshit. You're making everything worse. Microsoft counters with, dude, look at all of these other things that are happening. You're ignoring all of this other context. How can you say this is the case? How do you feel?
I mean, the facts of the case, pretty obvious. Of course, Microsoft is going to do whatever they can to try and say, we're acting fully within the confines of the law. We're not trying to, take advantage of anybody. FTC's clearly not really buying it all that much. What was your surprise?
I'm just not in the frame. I'm not in the frame.
Strange. Ultimately, I don't think this is really substantial in either way. I don't think the price hike was too much of one to really criticize it wholesale. I mean, all of these things they say, we're adding extra, benefits to the tiers. Good. Call of Duty's day one on Game Pass. Really substantial stuff going on there. At the same time, the FTC, what are you really going to do to Microsoft?
Yeah.
Not much, I don't think. The deal's already gone through.
At this point, the most I could see is Microsoft getting hit with some fines, probably some hefty ones at the most. But it's not like they're going to take Activision Blizzard away from Microsoft. It's a done deal in that sense. I think both parties are kind of right and wrong here. I think Game Pass on console, the base tier has been degraded, but it is to increase the possible or increase the offering on Ultimate tier, which didn't have much of an offering in comparison to the base tier, to make the price jump worth it. I think this does make Ultimate tier worth it. It's also important to note that PC has mostly remained unchanged, just with a slight price hike. Everything's going up. So is that really news? Is that really story? Is that really such a big offense? I don't know. I don't think so. It sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. And they are saying, hey, but look at all the games we're putting on. You keep saying we're taking value away, but we're giving so much at the same time. I think they have a point. But the FTC is not wrong. You are trying to maximize your profits and be as greedy as possible with your offerings here. I feel as you as a company have the right to do. Mm-hmm. Personally, I feel that way. Do I agree with the choices? No, but they have the right to do what they want with their product.
Really, it's a matter of what they're going to do down the line, because they're already kind of proving the FTC correct in their apprehensions.
Yeah.
And will they just further continue to do so, or is this really just a small thing they were wanting to tweak a little bit, and it warranted a response from the FTC?
Yeah.
To how they've, did.
And then, again, if you just play 2 or 3 games a month on Game Pass, this is the best fucking deal in the world. Mm-hmm. Like just play 2 to 3 new games every month. Dude, you're knocking it out of the park, man. You're saving so much money in comparison, Guys like us would take advantage of that if, we weren't trying to keep up on the latest and greatest. But if I'm just a regular gamer who really likes to play video games, whether they're new, old, just find something new to play, I think Game Pass is still the best deal in gaming. It's, slightly lesser than it used to be, but it's still awesome.
Yeah, for its purposes, to me, we play a new game every single month. It's nice to have a system to go to where it very much can have that game to play for free. Don't have to shell out money every single week. I'm not rich every month.
Plus, only some months?
What?
Only some months you're rich?
No, I'm rich never.
Okay, got it. Anyways, yeah, again, what's going to happen at the end of the day here? Not much. At most, Microsoft's going to get hit with some fines, but I think their defense here is pretty solid enough to counter what the FTC is saying here.
I agree.
Just annoying that we have to keep talking about it.
You thought we were done. We're not.
We're never done. Nothing is ever done around here, Connor. But let's go ahead and move on to our second topic of the day. Something really exciting for you, my friend, and I'm excited to hear what makes it all exciting. So go ahead and take it away, friend.
Well, this past weekend, we had EVO 2024. For those of you that don't know, it's one of the biggest gaming events in the world, where tons of people from across the world, across many countries, come together to compete in fighting games. A lot of personalities come out. Some leave disappointed. Some leave on a high. And with it, we got some new announcements. So here from Polygon, it's, we're using them as a way to point out all of the new things that were announced. So I'll go ahead and read their little bit at the beginning here. This is from Michael McWhirter. EVO 2024 brought the best fighting game players to Las Vegas this weekend for a 3-day tournament. This year's EVO was the biggest in the event's history, with more than 10,000 unique competitors facing off in games like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, and Mortal Kombat 1. On top of being the fighting game tournament, my apologies, EVO has become an important news event. Publishers and developers like Capcom, Bandai Namco, SNK, Warner Bros., and Arc Systems Works dropped new game reveals, character announcements, and release date details at EVO. EVO organizers also announced new destinations for fighting game competition. In addition to the existing Las Vegas and Tokyo-based EVO events, a tournament is coming to Nice, France in 2025, and somewhere in Singapore in 2026. So, a lot of different things were announced. One of them was the announcing of Heihachi Mishima coming as a DLC character to Tekken 8. Now, people that are familiar with the Tekken 8 story know that, like many Mishimas, he was thrown into a volcano. And the game described him as being missing. Harada, the director of Tekken, longtime director of Tekken, said that he wasn't coming back, and people didn't believe him. And they were right to, because he lied. Because now he's back. Why is he back? I have no goddamn clue. But recently, Street Fighter brought back M. Bison, who was also supposed to be dead. People generally thought he was pretty cool from what I saw, but there were those that were kind of saying, hey, he was supposed to be dead. Why are you bringing him back? Yada, yada, yada. Some people have a really hardline belief that if a character dies in the story of a fighting game, that's it for them. I've never thought that, due to the fact that many fighting game stories aren't substantial enough to prevent fun characters from being brought to new entries. And Heihachi, being the classic character he is no exception to that.
Can they not be dead in story but still playable in game?
That's what I thought. But they always need to justify it somehow in the story to bring them back.
Why?
Like how they're doing now. I don't know. But it leads to kind of funny situations, like with the Mishimas, with how often they get thrown in volcanoes. Like, this is his second time, I believe, getting thrown into a volcano.
No.
Because he did it he was the main villain of Tekken 1.
Yeah.
Kazuya threw him in there, and he came back at some point. And, he got out of that volcano. Yep.
Bro, you can't do it twice.
They did it. He did.
All right.
And they went to his, older design,
whoever's
too.
throwing him in volcanoes now needs to come up with a different idea.
It's always another Mishima that does it. So they're just not good at it, or they're very good at surviving it. But he looks cool. In the photo, he has a mask on, but they went back to his, older look, or, I guess, what he looked like in flashbacks, not white hair and a smaller mustache.
Yeah.
What are the reasons for that? I don't know, but it's cool to have him back. In Street Fighter 6, we got Terry shown. Not announced, because we actually knew that he was coming. They kind of they rolled out a roadmap. One of the other Fatal Fury characters that's coming is Mai Shirogane. You would know her if you saw her for particular traits. You can probably guess what those are.
All right.
But Terry is a character that I love. Every single... when I play King of Fighters, when I played Garo, Mark of the Wolves...
How do you spell it?
Which character? Mai. M-A-I. Shira... Ganu?
Shiranui? No.
Yeah. I can't... My Street Fighter. My Fatal Fury, and you'll know, what you're getting at.
Yeah, Shiranui or some shit.
Mm-hmm. Terry, a lot of from what I understand, Fatal Fury was heavily inspired by Street Fighter. Yeah, you know what I mean now.
Oh my.
Oh, she is... There was conversations about her. Actually, I think she was a trophy in... Yeah, she was a trophy in Smash, and they gave her a leotard for most of her body for certain reasons.
Yep.
A lot of skin on that character.
Thick thighs save lives. Buddy.
More than just thighs going on there. Oof. Yeah. But Terry is a sick-ass character. It's going to push... I was going to... kind of get back into Street Fighter 6. A friend of mine told me about how fun Akuma is.
Train me.
Yeah.
Train me. I want to play Street Fighter 6.
I mean, Terry is going to be a good opportunity to do so because I'm very familiar with his moveset. And Street Fighter 6 is a great game.
Yeah.
So
I wanted Street Fighter 6 to be my end, and I did not play nearly as much as I wanted to.
Hey, new characters came out that you might like more now.
Yeah.
Could be.
When we're just fucking fucking around here, man, you got to hit me with that. You got to, hey, Tavin, let's play some Street Fighter.
That's true.
Let's play some Street Fighter.
That's true. Terry Bogard. There we go. Guilty Gear Strive unveiled their season pass. It just concluded, the last one they did with, I can't remember which season they were on, but season 4? Yeah. So this is season 4 pass. Season 3 ended with Slayer, returning character. And Guilty Gear kind of got to the point where they were just thinking, okay, what's the next character from past franchises you're going to bring over? We got that in the form of Dizzy, a character that got first playable in Plus R, or there's so many Guilty Gear games and so many iterations of them. Dizzy's coming back, character with long hair, and Pull Q, Venom, is coming back. They unveiled a new character. I can't remember her name. She's new to the anime that's coming out, because they did show a PV of the Guilty Gear anime, which has been a long time coming, because they did a promotional video back during one of the older entries, and it looked really cool, but it was just promotional. Now they're going anime style. Stop doing that shit.
You're speaking another language to me right now.
But speaking about anime, the other character, because there's always 4 characters in their season passes, is the figure Lucy from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Took everybody by surprise. Edgerunners came out years ago, so you wouldn't think it'd be...
Not that long ago. And we're about to get season 2, no?
No.
Oh, no, that's Arcane. That's Arcane we're talking about.
Oh, okay. And it came out in 2020 or something like that. 2021?
I think it was 21, 22.
Definitely not 22.
I was at my mom's house.
Yeah.
We were doing the podcast, and we were doing it over the internet.
We were.
Yeah.
I think it's 2020.
I think that's 20. No, because the first 6 months to a year of this thing we did in person at my mom's, and I remember you talking to me about Edgerunner. Maybe, you know what? You may have gotten to Edgerunners late.
No, I watched it at the time.
You watched it as...
Damn, 2022. Fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, bro, it is 22.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Because for us to be doing the podcast over the internet, I would have had to gone to Nacogdoches and back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even so, Guilty Gear games don't really bring in other characters from other franchises, so maybe she'll play there's a character in Fate Stay Night, I'm fucking stupid, Under Night in Birth, named, I'm not too familiar with, Scion, who uses a whip. Lucy, kind of has electrical wires going on, so cool, zoner character is probably what we're going to be expecting from her, but, fighting games do this cool thing where they'll just randomly include guest characters that you wouldn't expect. Tekken very famously added Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, and Negan from The Walking Dead. And recently, Grand Blue Rising added 2B to their roster. And I guess Guilty Gear Strive's getting in on the action as well. Speaking of Grand Blue versus Fantasy versus Rising, I forgot the subtitle. My apologies. Versui, I don't know.
Versusia?
This is based off a gacha game, so those gacha players were probably hooting and hollering for this character, but I can't really say much about them. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising is a fun game, though. I kind of wish I played more of it, but, what are you going to do? So many games to play.
What are you going to do?
Multiverses added Samurai Jack and Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, sure.
Cool.
But Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack. That's why was he not there from the beginning?
Very strange.
Right.
Very strange also. We're not talking about it today, about how Warner Bros. Didn't own the company that was making it, but now they do.
The dev team.
The devs team, yeah. So I guess that's going on now.
Is this free to play, Multiverses?
I can't remember because they changed stuff.
Yeah.
And
you haven't jumped back in.
I have not, and I will not.
No?
No, I have no interest. It passed by.
You made it seem like there was like a
reason to jump in?
Like a personal reason to negate it and be like, nah, I'm cool.
Oh, no. Just not personally invested into it. Though if I did jump in, Samurai Jack, probably the character I would jump to. To bring back some KOF characters, Vice and Mature. KOF 15 is a slept-on game, unfortunately. Why'd you perk your eye up when you saw those characters?
Mature. That's an interesting name, and it seemed like an interesting character.
Cool functioning characters as well. Like I was saying before, King of Fighters 15 hasn't gotten the recognition like Street Fighter 6 or Tekken or Guilty Gear Strive, and that's a shame because it's a storied franchise and it's one that really works and it has a standout mechanic in the sense of being a 3v3. You choose 3 people to play, and so you have a lot of diversity in the teams that you can make. And the character designs are extremely on point. This Mature and Vice are particularly cool-looking characters that I was slightly disappointed that they weren't, at least one of them wasn't coming in 15. Apparently that's rectified now.
These are some mommies here.
Oh, yeah. Vice and Mature.
Well, it was Mature who got me at first, but Vice,
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you like Street Fighter 6, you would like KOF 15.
Okay.
Yeah. Fatal Fury, another game, if you like King of Fighters, you'll like this as well. It's coming out, and so we're still getting a little bit of a drip of characters. Kevin Ryan, I guess he's new. Fatal Fury might have some... No, he made his debut in Gara Mark of the Wolves. I just can't remember him. Huh. Well, all right.
Moving on.
Yeah. New art of fighting in Samurai Showdown action RPG. That's art. SNK versus Capcom. DVC Chaos released on modern platforms. Yeah, cool. Nice. Under Night in Birth. Another game that's very much slept on. Uzuki. Can't really say much on that. Hunter x Hunter Nen Impact. So this is a game which it's made by the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 team. So people that know how to make fighting games.
Yeah.
Making a fighting game of one of my favorite animes of all time, Hunter x Hunter. Super excited for it. Unfortunately, it looks like shit. Oh, visually. Gameplay-wise, that's a whole other story. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it's going to technically be a substantial one, but it's hard for some people to get around the visuals. And when you're trying to market something like that, you're not doing a great job of it. Especially when you're competing with things like Guilty Gear Strive, Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6, which visually just look amazing. So EVO announced a lot of cool things. Nice.
No
cool
word
stuff.
on the Marvel vs. Capcom collection thing?
Not to my knowledge. I didn't see anything. Yeah.
Because we don't have a date for that, right?
I don't know. Because there's...
do.
I'd have to look that up again. Last thing I will say is there were some winners at EVO. I won't bother going down and listing them all off. But the interesting thing is that Street Fighter 6's winner is a guy named Punk. Apparently, he's divisive in the FGC community. Every single time I see him, he's very funny. I like him a lot. He ended up winning. And he's from North America. That is the first time a North American player has won a mainline Street Fighter game at EVO in 20 years. And so he broke a substantial long losing streak. And he got very emotional because I believe he got to finals in 2017 and lost. It must have been the last time he was there. But it was a really, really great game. A lot of the final games, the ones that I watched so far, Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6, were down to the wire. You also had a moment from Street Fighter Third Strike where there's the famous Daigo parry, where a player named Daigo parried some attacks from another fighting game player named Justin Wong. He was controlling Chun-Li. A lot of kicks were flying his way, but he deflected at like a smidgen of health with his pen.
I think I've seen this clip.
Oh, you've seen it. Very famous. Yeah. A similar thing happened where a Ken player was fighting against a big grappler named Hugo, and Hugo caught in the air when Ken was doing one of his, big super attacks, and he parried all of the attacks and then went in for some damage against him, and I believe he dropped the combo. This was like down to the wire. And this wasn't the final game, but and I saw this, I just looked over at the TV when it was playing, when I was playing some Magic the Gathering with some friends and saw it, and it was one of the big talked about moments during EVO. Because even though he dropped this combo, Ken then went on to do one of his big major attacks, and for some reason, it just barely missed the hurt box of Hugo, and so he went right past him, and then Hugo was able to rebound that and kill him. And so it's just this cool, badass moment, of which you can find many during EVO. There's a reason why it's as big of a tournament as it is, because EVO's just as hype as hell. And, good to all the people that won, cool announcements, one of the best.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Huh. Thanks for the window into the world, Connor. I like it. I like it a lot.
I will say again, you like ramp. You like the ramp game.
Yeah.
The beefs.
Yes.
The infighting, all that stuff.
How are you going to tie this together?
I think I've said this before. It is the closest thing you can find that in video games is the FGC. So even if you don't play fighting games, if you like spectacle, you'll get it really well there.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Sonic Fox was talking his shit, wasn't he?
Oh, he always does.
He said he was Mortal Kombat, because he was like, I'm the best Mortal Kombat player.
Wow,
I saw that.
High marks playing Mortal Kombat. I don't like Mortal Kombat 1. I don't respect it.
When's the last time you've played a Mortal Kombat game?
A while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't respect it on the basis they try to be different. Okay? Like, they have their different button inputs. Not to mention, I just see a lot of bullshit with those, NetherRealm games. Like, if you watch competitive play, you'll put yourself in the shoe of the opponent, and you can even hear yourself saying, this is fucking bullshit. That's what Mortal Kombat looks like to me. In pro levels.
I liked Injustice a lot. Injustice is a lot of fun.
Injustice, same problem. You'll see,
spammy
as shit. And you'll see, in tournaments, people just quit. Because they'll start spamming, and they'll say, I can't win. And then they're done. Fun game, I think, for, normal people to play. But when you get into the competitive scene, it gets really cancerous.
Who cares about that?
The competitive players.
Who on the gamer level cares about that?
I don't hear people on that gamer level talk about Mortal Kombat 1 all that much. Like Tekken 8, people constantly talk about it. Guilty Gear Strive.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, just not much on there.
Well, also, NetherRealm focuses usually more on, narratives and stuff now, right?
I guess.
In today's era? I don't know. It's a casual game for casual fighting game fans.
Yeah, I think so.
Have some fun, Mm-hmm. You don't always need to be counting frames.
I don't know. The fun part is up for debate, but sure.
Speaking of, let's have some fun here. Big publishers eject too soon from live service title, says Warframe boss. Mm-hmm. This is a VGC article from... Where's the byline? There it is. Jordan Midler. Digital Extreme CEO Steven Sinclair has said that game companies must have more faith in live service projects, even if they struggle at launch. In an interview with VGC, Sinclair lamented the trend of large companies in the live service space abandoning titles too quickly and following launch stumbles. Quote, they think the release is make or break, and it's not. They have a financial way to be persistent, and they never do it, Sinclair said. It comes out, doesn't work, and they throw it away. He added, quote, isn't that a shame when you put so many years of your life into iterating on those systems or building technology or building the state of a community, and because the operating costs are high, you get terrified when you see the numbers drop and you leave. We've seen this with amazing releases that I think have massive potential, and I think they eject too soon. High-profile live service titles that have shut down in recent years include EA's Knockout City, which lasted just over 2 years, Smilegate's Crossfire X, which lasted just over 1 year, Platinum Games' Babylon Fall, which lasted 11 months. That one deserved it. That one deserved it. And EA's Anthem, which was closed after 2 years despite being a full-priced game. Digital Extreme's Warframe was an early entrant into the modern live service space when it was first released in 2013. Now, a decade later, the game has spawned a yearly convention and regularly receives new content updates. The game's next big update, Warframe 1999, is coming this year.
Pretty accurate.
He has a point. He has a point. I think games such as Marvel's Avengers, Anthem, these are games that were ejected from too quickly. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League is going to follow that trend as well. I think Suicide Squad just didn't come out as a very good game. I full on believe Avengers could have been phenomenal if they had given it more time. That game had fun. There was fun to be had in that game. And if they had just supported it the way they should have, and if that team... They picked the wrong team for that game.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, they just really did. But I also feel that way about Anthem. Anthem probably could have had a life and survived and been something special if EA had not pulled the plug so quickly.
Redfall is also one in this list. Making a game studio that doesn't make those games.
Yeah.
It's because, see, that's the thing. While he does have a point, I feel like the core issue is the kind of...
You can't make game dev studios who aren't experts in this make these types of games.
And it comes from the fact that they see dollar signs, these, big heads at studios, and they think they can capitalize off of it.
Yeah.
And when you look at it from that perspective, you're just not going to be as successful as something that comes from the heart.
Now, but it's also a double-edged sword on who is delivering this message.
Yeah.
I think, of course, Warframe is one of the most successful live service games in the market right now, right? And it does it quietly. Quietly, Warframe is really, really good to its fan base. Its fans love it, and it gets more and more fans every year, which is great. I've tried Warframe a couple of times. I recognize it as a quality game, not for me personally, so I move along, right? But very impressive what they're able to do, especially because it's free to play, and all of the content and the way they've been able to iterate and continue to add value to that game. Very impressive, right? So definitely that's the type of guy who says, hey, we doubled down because they weren't the most popular thing at launch. And their popularity, what popularity they had at launch faded. And then we doubled down, we committed, and we got it back. And now we're popping. So you are the guy to deliver that message, right? But I also believe you speak from a place of privilege. One being, you were at launch of the PlayStation 4, so there was not a whole lot to play during that time on the PlayStation 4, specifically because there was no really platform play between 3 and 4. PlayStation 4 was had a huge start, right? Great opening sales for the PlayStation 4, so your player base was massive, and you were one of the first into the live service space. We didn't understand what Warframe was or what they were trying to do when it launched, And over time, we figured it out and went, oh, that's how you do it. You're speaking from a place of privilege because now the market is crowded and now it is hard to make noise. And now the general perception on live service is that this isn't good. This is a bad thing. He's not wrong. There are games like Anthem, like Avengers, like Knockout City that were shut down too soon. He's not wrong. But at the same time, a lot of these big publishers, like you're saying, Connor, have made games or have forced studios to make these games, and these aren't the type of games they should be making. Rocksteady should not be making a live service game. BioWare probably shouldn't be making a live service game, even though I think they could have salvaged Anthem. Eidos Montreal should not be making a live service game, even though I do think they could have salvaged Avengers. Is that the right team?
Is it
Crystal Dynamics?
Yeah.
Crystal Dynamics should not be making a live service game, even though I believe they could have salvaged that game, right? And now we turn our attention to Firewalk Studios in Concord.
Mm-hmm. That's a game that clearly has quality, but that could be, that can make a lot more sense with what he's saying.
Yes.
Because we know it's a quality game, like at the core of it.
But we also know player numbers are not going to be super high at launch.
Yeah, and a lot of the things I think are going to have to be rolled out as the game continues on in its life cycle.
Yeah.
I'm afraid they don't have a lot of the sauce up front. And, for that kind of game, they really need to, or they need to have support going forward. And everything we know about it is that Sony's kind of, doesn't really have expectations. So we don't know what their expectations are for Concord. And so this could be a case where, they just go on for maybe 6 months.
There was a quote from Herman Holst saying that Concord could become PlayStation's next biggest IP and surpassing Horizon. Ambitious. I think if those are your expectations are too high.
Yeah.
For Concord to be successful, PlayStation needs to commit. And they need to double down. And I don't think they will. I don't think they will. Now, I don't know what lessons they've learned from Helldivers 2, if they've learned lessons from Helldivers 2. But if I were to guess, they're probably going to focus all their funding towards that. And that's unfortunate because this studio was formed to make Concord. Yeah. And you and I played the beta this last weekend. We talked about it on the Piggy Bank. There is a breakout impressions / review of the Concord beta live on the YouTube channel right now, youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames. So make sure you go click on that, watch that to get our full opinions on that game. But we're pretty up on it after the beta. But we also can read the room, and we know the internet is not up on this game, and it's probably not going to pull impressive numbers at launch. But it has the potential to over time. Concord is the game where PlayStation has to commit.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Marathon coming down the pipeline. Is that a PlayStation title? That's a PlayStation-owned title.
That's a Bungie PlayStation title.
So with something like that, it makes me think that they want to get in. They obviously want to get into the live service game space.
Yes.
Concord's part of that. Marathon is part of that. And Helldivers 2.
For a long time, they were like, we're going to do like 12 plus live service games. They've brought that down to 6.
Which, when you do something like that, you would think, well, okay, maybe these games are going to get a lot of focused support because PlayStation has become known as the single-player, console. A lot of their big single-player games. You can't, in this day and age, sustain that. Yeah. It can't just be that.
Yeah.
And so it'd be extremely foolish if they do what I forgot his name all of a sudden.
Let me find it here. Steve Sinclair.
Steve Sinclair. We'll see how much his word rings true when those games start getting rolled out and PlayStation's reaction to them. Especially with Concord, due to the fact it's not going to do good numbers day one. Unless we have a Helldivers situation where it exceeds expectations.
I promise you we won't.
Well, Helldivers expectation in the sense that it goes over what they thought it would do.
Yeah.
Not blow up the same level that did. I hope they do well because these people made a good game.
They did. And they're a new studio and they should be given, they should have the chance, right? They should be allowed to do something like this, right?
Yeah, and going back to Marathon, Bungie, they were kind of throwing some shade. I believe, who was that? Someone in Sony's higher-ups. I think it was the replacement CEO when Jim Ryan was leaving.
Yeah.
And he said something about how, like, Destiny wasn't doing what they wanted it to do. Do you remember that story?
I don't know this quote that you're talking about.
I remember he basically insulted the Destiny team because of their last DLC not being well received.
The Lightfall.
Yeah, there were some insults, not insults, but
it didn't meet expectations.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a secret. It's not. Lightfall did not meet expectations. They have made that up with the final shape.
Yeah, but I can't remember what was said at the time. But it basically seemed to just disregard what they had done up to that point and just focused on them as a whole based off one DLC that didn't do well. I'll have to look those comments up again later. Point is, their position on live service games is very tenable from how they've talked about it. Even if they do say things like it's going to be the next big IP, even going over Horizon, those are just words.
Those are just words.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I'm hoping PlayStation is doing. And I hope that they're looking at the landscape, taking notes, and learning the right lessons here. I hope the ones that are in the can, or the ones that have been reached a certain level of development, they're like, hey, we can't do anything about these. We got to get them out the door. We've invested too much already. Helldivers 2 was an example of that. Concord is an example of that right now. And Marathon will be an example of that right now. There's something else we're missing on this list that I don't remember because there's so many of these games that come out, right? Here's what my hope is. We know Last of Us multiplayer canceled. It would have caused too much strain on Naughty Dog, and that's not what they want to make, right? We know there was a Spider-Man multiplayer game canceled before it got too deep into production, right?
Yeah.
Also, a studio, that's not really what they do. They've done multiplayer in the past, and they've had various levels of success with it, but it's not what they're known for, right? Here's what I'm hoping, all right? PlayStation has gone to the effort to create Haven Studios, to create Firewalk Studios, to create studios with a team whose expertise is in multiplayer, to have a weird acquisition / partnership with Bungie, right? Their track record speaks for itself, right? In terms of what multiplayer does, right? here's what I'm hoping, is that their perspective is, okay, fuck the widespread live service goals. Let's focus in on what our studios are good at and what they're good for and what they're known for, and have them do that. Naughty Dog, we would have loved for that Last of Us multiplayer to take off. Man, we spent a lot of money on that. That sucks, right? So layoffs happen, you know?
It does.
Insomniac, your little Spider-Man thing, it's not coming together. We want to get Spider-Man 2 out the door. We're working on Wolverine and Ratchet and Venom and whatever else is coming down the pipeline via Insomniac, right? So let's have you focus on those things. Let's make those things great. Santa Monica Studios, you keep making God of Wars out your ass, right? Let's do that so that we can appease our base, so that we can make our base happy, right? So we're still getting Last of Us's, we're still getting God of Wars, we're still getting Spider-Mans, et cetera, the list goes on, right? Mm-hmm. We still got Death Stranding coming down the pipeline next year as well. So the single-player thing, we've got it covered still. The teams you love are still making the games you want them to make. Mm-hmm. Now, let's look at what... I can't remember the name of the Helldivers 2 studio. Look it up real quick. These guys have a hit on their hands. That's fantastic. Let's double down, give them the support they need. Let's use all this cachet and this money that we got from Helldivers 2 to reinvest it back into the studio and get them doing what they want to do, their dreams and aspirations that they never thought they could do with this game. Let's get them to get there, right? Everybody likes to make fun of Helldivers 2 of how it fell off now because the player count is lower, yada, yada, yada. That was going to happen regardless. You know, that's what happens when a game doesn't have any huge major updates in 3 months. Your player counts drop. It just happens, right? I guarantee you in the next, I want to say 6 months, but definitely in the next calendar year, we're going to get an announcement of a big Helldivers 2 expansion. Something is coming down the pipeline, right?
Remember, they didn't expect it to be as big, so they weren't raring to go bigger than they were. They changed their plans.
Exactly. Plans have changed, then they're escalating, right? Yeah. So Helldivers 2, I guarantee you, within the next calendar year, will be thought of as, premier PlayStation multiplayer title, right? Concord, we're going to have a slow start, and we're going to slow burn it. Let's just listen to feedback, let's do what we have to do, and let's commit to this marathon and whatever Haven is doing and get all these games up to where they need to be and commit so that we can build a multiplayer base. Mm-hmm. PlayStation, you lack a multiplayer base right now. You've got some examples of multiplayer being a desire on PlayStation. You know, Call of Duty has been successful on PlayStation for years. Rainbow Six Siege is successful on PlayStation. Overwatch is successful on PlayStation. There's examples here. Helldivers 2 is now your prime example of this. There is a desire for PlayStation gamers to be able to play together, right? So instead of panicking when Concord comes out and their numbers flop, commit. Double down. Say, we believe in this team. We believe in this game. We're going to commit and keep pushing things forward. You're going to keep seeing Concord over and over again for the next couple of years to come.
Ideally.
Mm-hmm. Again, this is such a volatile industry right now that can they even commit or do this and commit to this? Well, if they're doing their business right, hopefully they can.
Mm-hmm. Arrowhead Game Studios.
Thank you. Arrowhead. Yeah. And I would hope sort of the extra capital that you got off of Helldivers 2 that you weren't expecting allows you to, one, keep Arrowhead happy with your publishing deal that you have with them, because they don't own Arrowhead, but they own Helldivers as an IP. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you can kind of keep both parties happy with that extra capital that you ran into and get some more rotating there. You've still got Destiny 2 doing its thing, making money, right? And then whatever's happening, and then I'm going to go ahead and assume Marathon is going to be great. It's Bungie.
Yeah.
They haven't really missed yet. Not really, you know? So yeah, I'm of the belief, and I'm also of the belief that Naughty Dog's next game is coming sooner than usual. I have an idea that it feels like they want to get a game out.
Yeah.
You know, from what we've heard from Neil Druckmann and the team and stuff like that, they are hungry to get a game out. It's been a while, you know, and they've had to start over. So yeah, I think PlayStation is in an interesting space. And when we talk about these live service games, they are, I think, primed to find the most long-term success if they play their cards right. That's the tricky part.
I mean, my last thing I'll say, yeah, they got a lot of good money from Helldivers 2, surprise money, But remember, we're dealing with an industry that lays off people like nobody else, closes studios all the time.
You're right.
It's very reasonable for them to believe that they're just going to pocket that money. They saw the success it had, and they don't think long term. They think about filling their own pockets.
You're 100% correct. You are 1,000% correct.
I hope I'm, functionally wrong, and they don't just start dishing
yeah,
people, but
yeah. I hope that is not the reality we live in, but that those are
up until now, it's been
those
the
are
reality.
realistic expectations.
Yeah.
So there are ways out of this.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to see success here. But there's no way to see success when it comes to the Halo TV show. Moving on to our final topic of the day. This is actually your topic. Your second penny of the day, Connor. Take it away.
And frankly, did it deserve any goodwill? No. The Verge. The Halo TV show has been canceled. Paramount Plus is moving on from Halo, but the show's producers are reportedly shopping it around. This is the article from Jay Peters and Ash Parrish. Paramount has canceled its live-action Halo series for Paramount Plus, according to The Hollywood Reporter and Variety. But if you're a fan of the show and want to see it continue, there's a sliver of hope. Both publications report that the show's producers are shopping the series around, so perhaps there will be a third season. The Halo show premiered in 2022 and ran for 2 seasons, with the second debuting earlier this year. Pablo Schreiber starred as Master Chief. Quote, "We are extremely proud of this ambitious series and would like to thank our partners at Xbox, 343 Industries, and Amblin Television, along with showrunner and executive producer David Weiner, his fellow executive producers." Sorry. The entire cast led by Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief and the amazing crew for all of their outstanding work. Paramount said in a statement to THR and Variety, "We wish everyone the best going forward." End quote. The Halo show had its issues, primarily the fact that we never really got to see the titular Halo in any kind of detail. Some fans of the games could never get over the decision to show Master Chief's face throughout the majority of the show, something that's never been done in the games. And some folks were really unamused by the romance subplot between the Chief and a human member of the Alien Covenant, which included an unintentionally hilarious sex scene where Cortana got cucked. She watched them having sex. And it was... See, people said that it was what they were upset about. They were unamused by it. By all accounts, outside... Because with these kinds of things, it's easy to say, okay... Being fans of the game, you're going to be more critical of adaptations like this. But by all accounts, it narratively, from a writing standpoint, was really fucking stupid and bad. In fact, the whole thing about there being a human alien, like...
Yeah, a human part of the Covenant? What?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Sleeper cell type stuff, but everything that we know about what happens in Halo is that a lot of this is first context stuff, and it creates the cool, like, crazy stuff going on.
You don't have time to raise somebody in your cult of religion
and
have them then infiltrate humanity. What?
And maybe they didn't, because I hadn't seen the show. But when I saw that, my first thought was, oh, you don't want to spend the time making the VFX, the special effects.
You can't have an alien be your main bad guy because it's too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And, it seemed like there was a lot less cool, badass action parts. The whole thing about Master Chief showing his face, that's okay. The problem is the character himself doesn't act like Master Chief at any point.
Yeah.
And he's just like, Master Chief's a simple character. Adding this complexity to him could work depending on what you're doing, but when it's in the form of romance subplots with a traitor, you aren't doing it right.
The Master Chief shouldn't have a romance subplot.
No, it should not.
There should be a bond and a level of care to Cortana, but it's not a sexual thing. It's not a romantic thing. It's just a we care about each other thing.
Yeah.
You look at the best example, I don't know, and the first one that comes to my head is Naked Snake and the boss in Metal Gear Solid 3, but I know I'm talking to TV people, so I got to pull a different type of thing here. You look at the bear, the main guy in the bear and the black woman in that show. They don't have a romantic interest.
I think they're getting to that point.
No, they're not. They've said, hey, we're not going that way. Don't get excited about it. But fans are like shipping it or whatever because that's what fans do. Hey, fans are stupid, but you have to appease them. You have to appeal to them. You have to make your fans happy, right? But they're stupid. There's a reason fans don't create things, right? So
Jesus, Tavin, you're a fan.
Hey, I'm an idiot, but it's been on record before Halo writers did not look at the games for inspiration for their stories. That's a mistake.
You have to.
Yeah, and they didn't get easy wins. There are easy wins you could get when you talk about a Halo TV show. The first part, use the fucking Halo theme. You didn't use the Halo theme in your first season. That's a mistake. That's a miss. That's a hard miss, right? You didn't appeal to what Halo fans like. You didn't have the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana right. You didn't have a lot of things right, and you should have, right? And then from there, develop your own stories. Things don't have to be one-to-one. Things don't have to be exactly right. Look at Fallout. Look at The Last of Us. They don't one-to-one it, but they get what's important right.
This one seemed to kind of overshoot that.
Exactly.
And, in a game like Halo, not looking at the source material is particularly a problem.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes are in the form of books, which are very well written. But at the end of the day, the core thing of why people would be coming to your show are the Halo video games.
The video games.
And they're incredibly simple. Humanity's fighting back against insurmountable odds with the hero fighting back against them. You can take... Things don't have to be complicated. You don't have to add romance subplots. You don't have to add all of these other external characters that you really don't give two shits about. You're coming to see Master Chief and do Master Chief things with a little bit more depth being a TV show.
Yeah.
But instead, you just go for cookie-cutter TV drama.
And also, we want to be on Master Chief's... We want Master Chief to be the main character. Yeah. But I keep saying in my head, Master Chief doesn't have to be Halo, but we've made him Halo. On top of that, surround him with people.
Yeah.
There are charismatic characters in the Halo games. Sergeant Johnson,
Buck,
the ODST guys, the Commander Keyes, both versions of Commander Keyes being the dude who dies in the first game and his daughter.
Jennifer Hale's character in Halo 4, what's her name? Palmer? The Spartan?
Palmer. Yeah.
Palmer, yeah.
Yeah,
she was cool.
She was cool. There's interesting things you can pull from source material of the games. I agree. The books make the lore messy, right? It's it's all laid out, but it's laid out in the way Star Wars is laid out, right? Where you're like, okay, but like at some point you stop caring, right? You care about the movies of Star Wars. From there, there's some things that you should pay respect to, and then there's some things that what percentage of the fan base is going to care about this? Not a high percentage, right?
Which is what you're drawing in. You're drawing those people into your show.
Exactly.
You're not doing it right.
I'm totally fine if the show is different from the canon of other material. I'm fine with that, right? I wish Star Wars would break canon a little bit more. Or I wish they would do it at all. Hey, spoilers, they haven't done it and they should. Your canon is stupid. On top of that, the thing Halo needs to get right is figuring out a way to adapt the game story, I think. Now, those video game stories aren't super well written, right? They're not the best stories in the world.
The gameplay is built around it, which is what the selling point is.
Yeah.
Rather than the narrative on its own merits.
Yeah. So you need to get your world right. You need to get your tone right. You need to get your atmosphere right. Specific plot points, you can be a little looser with and find better angles and stuff like that. And so it's just unfortunate that this feels like a product of people. First of all, it was handed over to so many different creatives and so many different creative teams over a long ass time. This is the same project that Steven Spielberg was once upon a time attached to. Ooh. That was well over a decade ago is when his name was involved, and then it was passed around to different studios and things like this. So yeah, is it surprising Halo failed? No. Does it kind of suck? Yeah, but it kind of sucks that this was the product we were given as fans at the same time. As two guys who didn't watch the show, but saw the reaction and saw some clips, and we were like, no.
Yeah, you can tell certain qualities of things without having, particularly with TV shows, without having to jump into it.
Now, I think, I'm of the opinion, the taking the helmet off and showing his face, if you're doing a TV show, you got to show his face at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, look at The Mandalorian, right? Like, you had to show his face at some point. And spoilers, Mando is taking his helmet off more and more as we keep going, because Pedro wants to be there. And so,
there's a lot of downtime in, going back to the Halo books.
Yeah.
He has his helmet off a lot. It's not like he's in the game where he's always wearing it.
Yeah. That was only like a game thing of what does he look like, right? And it's because the games are an interactive medium and you want to be the Master Chief. You just can't do that in a television medium or even really in a movie medium. But I think movie could probably get away with it more often. And that brings me to what I want to talk about in the next part of this. They are looking to shop the show around. Does it get picked up by somebody?
I don't think so at all. I think it's
tainted goods. Yeah,
it is.
I think we let this go.
No one ever talks about the Halo show in a positive context.
Yeah.
Whenever it rolls around, it's always like nitpicking it.
Now, admittedly, season 2 was received better than season 1.
But
you know, when
well
you go from
to
4 out of 10 to 5 out of 10, are you really that much better?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, you know, it's tricky. I think we will, sooner than you expect, see Halo return to other mediums again. Will it be in the form of live action? I don't know. Will it? I definitely don't think this show will get picked up.
No,
this show will die on the vine here. This is where that show dies. But I can see the potential of a Halo movie happening, another Halo TV show happening. I think doing Halo live action TV show again, that's kind of poison.
Well,
yeah.
I brought up the books a lot. I had a lot more experience with them back in like high school because they are very well written books. The ones I did read. Something that very much is pointed out is the feats of Master Chief. It's connected to the combat that goes on in those books. A lot of fight scenes were very well described, and I don't think with live action you're able to do that spectacle the way you would with something animated. And so, I think with live action, since you can't constantly do a lot of crazy things going on, battles and whatnot, when you get into the character writing, something that Halo's not very well known for, you don't have much to work with unless you draw in, your own original ideas, which didn't pan out. So, yeah, the format of live action, I think, is tainted. You need to move on to something else.
It's hard to get there. Big ol' Fridge in the chat says, tell Connor to get a haircut. I've been trying to tell him to get a haircut for weeks. He won't do it. He just doesn't care about his appearance. I try to tell him, you're on camera, dog. You got to look okay.
Here's the thing. I'm growing it out. I still need to get a trim, but I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. So, it'll happen. Looks like a bum. That's fine. I don't mind it.
You look like a greasy grifter. I'm not going to go bum, but you look greasy and you look like a grifter, you know?
Tavin, that is not an insult.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, it is well, look at this guy. Look at this guy. You see style here. You think
it's not about style. It's just being presentable. You're on a.
I don't give a shit. Like, these people watching Guy talk about video game need to be dressed nice and have a nice haircut.
It's not a matter about dressing nice.
And have a nice haircut.
You shouldn't dress like a bum, but like, look presentable.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go to Phil's wedding looking like this.
Of course not.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, though. I go to things like that. And I leave it going, God damn, I'm happy I don't have to do this all the time. And then I put on shorts again.
It's really not that much effort to just upkeep.
It's not a matter of effort. It's a matter of how it feels. I want comfortability. That's all I care about. Now, to Fergus's point,
you having to brush your hair out of your face every
no, not that. This is means to an end because it's going to go away eventually. Most people's are. Mine is. So see where you go from there. Clothing, though, hate fashion because it's always built on how it looks and not how it feels. And I'm particular with it. So
you can look good and feel good.
What?
You can look good and feel good.
I feel good now.
I mean, sure, but anyways.
You're not gonna. This is one of those areas like arguing about like me looking deeper into music and analyzing it. It's just not gonna happen. You have a better chance with fashion.
Does Microsoft look for Halo to continue in other mediums again?
Yeah, I don't think they'll abandon something like the Halo trademark.
It's a big
one
name.
failure just isn't going to do it. Well, there's been a couple failures, but
there's been a couple failures.
Big recent failure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan. I want to see something in live action. I want to be, I want to see a movie. I'll take an anime. Fuck it. That'd be cool too.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to see something more from the Halo universe other than video games. I'd like to see some dope video games too. But yeah, as of right now, Halo's in a tricky spot. I almost wonder if Microsoft should just chill out on Halo for a while. But
I mean, they haven't been the most successful with something like Halo.
You're right. Yeah. So
maybe so.
We'll find out. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your episode of the Two Penny Games Cast. Remember, you can catch this every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Alongside that, you can catch us live every Monday afternoon at twitch.tv/2pennygames when we record all of our podcasts. And, sometimes we stream fun games and do fun stuff. So please make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all of that fun stuff to both YouTube, podcast, Twitch, all of the platforms. And make sure you hit up all of our socials down in the description below. Let us know how you felt about this week's batch of news. Where are you on Halo? Where are you on live service gaming, etc., etc.? And Until next time, have a great time. Oh, and PSA. I haven't said it on this show. PSA. This next episode of the Two Penny Game Club, we're having to pivot. Dark Messiah of Might and Magic did not work on Steam, and it does not work on me and Phil's PCs, period. You, for some reason, got it to work. We don't know how or why. We've been down all the threads, all the troubleshooting. It's too much. It doesn't work. We've tried other means of attaining the game. It doesn't work. Nothing's working. So we're having to pivot away from Dark Messiah, and we're doing 2016's Doom. So the first episode of the Two Penny Games cast of the month of, what's next month? August, will be Doom 2016, not Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. So make sure you're all up on your Doom by the time of that time frame. Shouldn't be too long. Not the longest game in the world, but boy, is it a good game. So very excited to play it. Very excited to review it under the scope of 2024. But we are going to leave all of that there. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
If it wasn't for you, we would have been an hour under. Goddamn asshole.
What does that matter?
Just like, you know how you sometimes see the in those old TVs.
Also, idiot console gamers. We were trying to play it on PC.
Yeah,
and like we went down all the troubleshooting threads. You tried to help me too.
I did. It
doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Well,
you know where video games do work, Fergus? On my fucking console. They work.
Not as many.
I download them, I play them, and they fucking work. It doesn't matter if they're from 2002 or 2022. They fucking work. Funny how that happens. Until next time, have a great time. Gentlemen, goodbye.